Okay, so I took my car to get a recall addressed uh, yesterday, I guess, and and I got a loaner, which I did not expect from Hyundai.
You're on a
Yeah.
list now.
You would think so, but they're still giving me the runaround on getting reimbursed for my expenses. Um, yeah, I haven't yet pulled out the Google my name and the name of this car,
Yeah.
but I might have to.
Yeah.
It was funny when I was at Petite when I saw Nate. He's like, man, you better watch your back around those Hyundai people, man. I said, dude, I don't have beef with Herta, man. I don't have beef with Herta. I can't put it on him. And then he introduced me to one of his assistants. He's like, hey man, you know that Hyundai thing I made you read? And this kid's just like, yeah. He's like, this is the guy. He's like, he's a fanboy. I'm like, well, so was I. That's why
I
it
bet,
stung so bad to, to,
Yeah.
I
to
bet.
be betrayed like that. Anyway, so yeah, so I brought the Hyundai in for a fuel high pressure fuel pump related recall where I think they just like flashed the ECU or put in some new code or something to try to stave off some problem that might happen. But they gave me a Hyundai Sonata to drive, a new one, which I hadn't driven one of those before, and I was it's a nice car. I mean, I understand why people like them, why they sell a lot of them because it fills a niche that I think has largely been abandoned by the traditional.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
it's one of four sedans you can still buy in the United States.
yeah, and I mean I haven't driven like a recent Accord or Camry in a while, and so I don't know quite how similar they are. But the Sonata, it really struck. I mean, the overwhelming um, feeling I had was like, oh, this is a Buick.
Yeah.
you know this, or an Oldsmobile. Like this is like a mid-level, like not quite luxury but just roomy, comfortable, soft, smooth ride.
I love
It's
a sedan.
It is a capital letters nice car.
it is a nice car. Like for somebody who doesn't want anything, who's not like a demanding thing. And I mean honestly for me, like I kind of enjoyed driving, and the whole time I was just thinking, this would be like if you were doing ride share shit, if you were driving for Lyft or Uber, like this would be the perfect car for that because it's just the nature of the way it drives. Um, I remember, like this was the thing with that Peugeot wagon that I had,
Oh yeah.
in the few weeks that I actually got to drive that car in the space of the 10 or 12 or however many years and counting that I owned it, theoretically. Um, it was so just pleasant to drive because it was slow as shit, and but it had this very soft, supple, but not floaty, not soft in the
Mm.
like 70s American car, wallowy, seasick thing. It was nailed down, but it just swallowed bumps and irregularities. You don't even notice them, and it was just and and that combined with how just impossibly slow it was, it just forced you to assume this kind of like regal bearing when you drive, just totally unhurried, just like I'm just sitting back, I'm taking my time, I'm enjoying the day, and
You're
just
schmoving.
just yeah, man, just like low and slow, like the lowrider guys say, and I really love that, and the Sonata had, I mean, the Sonata had, if you put your foot down, it would move. It wasn't like gutless the same way that the Peugeot was, but the ride and the general kind of mean of it, it had the same kind of unhurried nature that I think if you were doing that kind of driving, that kind of work, it would you'd be able to maintain a level of chill while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That I think, it made me think, so I should just trade in this fucking stupid Hyundai N car for a Sonata and just be a Lyft driver.
Chill.
Just be chill.
We've all been there.
And now it's like, when I got back into my car, it's like, it's so low and the seats are so aggressive, and like getting it, and like I tweaked my knee the other day, just like getting out of a chair, like I twisted it, and so like my knee was really, and it's just like, God damn it, man. This, like, I'm realizing, maybe I do want an old man car. Like maybe I've entered my old man car era, and like this sporty little hot rod, teenager 20-something bad boy car. It's I mean, it's fun. I like driving it, but yeah, I do have a hankering for something a little pillowy.
A little more legal. A little more
You just
legal.
put like 20 more points on your like that's my baby girl scorecard. That's great. That's fantastic. The girlies will love it.
Yeah. Anyway, the one thing though, the point of all of this,
Oh no, yeah.
was the thing that fucking drove me crazy in this car is the thing that's driven me crazy in pretty much every car that, most cars, a lot of cars that I've driven in the last 10, 15, possibly even 20 years now, which is the shift actuator lever thing, gear shift knob. It's a column on the steering wheel, and it has 3 positions: park, reverse, no, drive, neutral, reverse, and then park. So it has 4 things. But the graph, like, it is completely unclear from looking at this fucking, it's like a square thing at the end of a stalk, and it has the D is up and the R is down. But when you try and go up on the lever, well, it's not moving up. If you try to go down on the lever, it's not moving down. Okay, what the fuck am I doing wrong? How does this work? And so you have to sit there fucking with it, like trying to figure out, like, what direction does this lever even move? And then it's like, oh wait, it rotates. So you have to like grab the square thing on the end, and you have to rotate it or on its axis to engage drive, and then it flips back. So now it's back in what seems like it should be neutral, and having to do this every time. I mean, I literally had to look at it every time I either engage drive or reverse or park, which park is a button on the tip on the end of the stalk that you press in, and now you're in park.
It's a fucking bop it. It's a bop it, twist it, pull it, pass it.
It's the lament configuration
Painful.
from Hellraiser, where you like that's the control mechanism for the car.
This sucks. This fucking sucks.
Puzzle. I know what you're talking. It's like the end of it. It's like it looks like a stock, but the end of it is kind of like a Zippo lighter.
Yeah.
And the Zippo rotates forward and back to change positions.
Right.
But we went from like, and this is like, I don't talk about this a lot because there's like a real risk of beginning to sound like an old man who.
Yeah, no, this is old man yelling at cloud shit. But no, I actually will fucking die on this. Go ahead, Rory.
We went from having like 2, maybe 3 common ways to change gears in a car or select drive in a car to having like 40, and they're all many of them are silly and really like convoluted and baroque and like unnecessarily so. And I remember like what my very first press trip, I went to Pebble Beach with an automaker, and I was, I don't know, whatever, 27, something like that, and I was kind of drunk, and I was arguing with the PR guy, which no reason to do. It was like the dinner. It was like the opening night dinner, and I had all the auto journalists who were with me.
Okay, I just love this already because it's your first press trip and you're drunk and you're arguing with the PR people. You're getting into a fight with the host, with the people who've flown you to Pebble.
Yeah, and it was like, and it was like, well, this is obviously how you do this, like.
Legend, we stand.
And so I was arguing with the PR, and like all the journalists who were with me were like, "Yeah, you're right," you know, like, haha. And I remember I was saying like the UX in the car is not intuitive, and they're like, "Well, no. It's like if you only use Leica cameras and you're a photographer, and then you add a new feature to the camera." Because you're familiar with Leica's layout, you will be able to figure out the new feature. And I was like, that's not what intuitive means. Like that. It's like, I understand what you're trying to say, but that is not what intuitive is. And we got in this big argument, and I was like, I remember saying that if you wanted to buy an engaging version of their car, you should buy an old one. Because the new ones are soulless or something like that. And then I drove the car and didn't write anything about it. I didn't realize you were expected to write anything about it. I was like, I didn't like it. So I was like, it was one of those like, can't say anything nice type deals. The bigger theory with this, and not to jump ahead a little bit, but like the bigger theory here is like you have and I think we talked a little bit about it in a previous episode, but I think like you have a situation where most of the big problems as far as like how you're going to set out to build your car, if you're an engineering team or if you're a product planner, the big questions about like what is the engine configuration, what is the transmission, what is the suspension setup, like what are the basic the basic kind of large parts or the big mechanical parts of the car. All that stuff is so well established that all that's left to do, and I think like this is the case outside of cars too, and I was just calling it end of form innovation the other day, where it's like the form is set, we know how to make this stuff, and we know exactly like there's no like maybe if we put a 2-liter in it and an independent rear, we'll get a car that handles a little bit more like a BMW. It's like, no, this is down to the millimeter. Every single thing that we're going to do to this car, we know how it's going to turn out, and we know what kind of car we're building. So like there's no mystery, and there's really no like magic, I don't think, left in the actual like construction of the car for the most part, especially like mainstream cars. Like you could say there are for like whatever, the new Ferrari F80, or like when you're really breaking new ground, but like most cars, it's pretty set in stone. So what you get are these Baroque little baubles and doodads where it's like every single one of them starts with someone saying, wouldn't it be cool if the car could do X? And the answer is, it would be cool if it worked. And the reality is, most of the time, what you do is create like this intensely frustrating shift knob that is like, why in a million years would it need to be like this? Like, why? It's different, but that's it. There's no,
yeah,
right? Like,
no, preach. I mean, no, that's exactly it. And I mean, the thing is, I mean, when I was a kid, well, no, let's go back. There was a time when the automobile was new,
Yeah.
when there was like a lot of variation in the way the basic controls were laid out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, go and drive a Model T and you have to kind of relearn how to drive because the pedals are not the same as you know, the accelerator was, what is it? Is the gas pedal in the middle and then the
No, the accelerator's on your hand. It's a hand throttle.
Oh, right.
And then, yeah, there's front and rear brake pedals and a clutch, I believe. I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been a long time
Yeah.
since I drove an T.
Anyway, all of that kind of stuff, it took them a while to kind of agree in kind of the same way that, you know, like nobody agreed for a while on a USB. You know what a USB.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still kind of having these arguments, but at a certain point, everybody's kind of said, okay, well, here's the way it's going to work. You know, we'll just agree to universally adopt this, just so that when people get into a car, they know what to expect, and that the gas pedal is going to be the one under your right foot, and then the brake pedal is next to that, and if there's a clutch pedal, that one's going to be to the left of that. And in an automatic car, if there's a car with an automatic transmission, as you know, came a little later, I don't know the exact. I don't know at what point they settled on the classic Prindle configuration: park, reverse, neutral, drive, low, or
A long fucking time ago.
But I mean, it was pretty fucking early on, right? I mean, that was like from
Yeah.
probably the 40s, 50s.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, by the time you had automatic transmissions, it was settled.
Yeah. And there were some gimmicky kind of. I mean, Chrysler had its like push button ones or whatever, but in the 50s. But I mean, that was basically the deal. And you know, and if there was, to the extent that there was variation, well, sometimes, you know, if a car, you know, if it had like sporting pretensions, but it still had an automatic, it would have a console shift between, you know, between the seats. If it's more of a luxury car, it's going to have a column shift up on the steering column.
Yeah.
But in terms of like actuating it, operating it, there was no mystery. There didn't need to be. Everybody fucking understood this is how it works. And in the operation of a fucking motor vehicle, something that is, you know, that demands some attention and responsibility because it is potentially a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
It's kind of important for there to be no obstacles, no, you know, to reduce the potential for misunderstandings or accidental use, you know?
The controls have to be legible immediately and able to be operated competently as soon as you touch them.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't have a steering wheel that like, oh, you know what, we're gonna just be different. So when you turn the wheel left, the wheels actually go right.
I was gonna say it's like the video game camera. Yeah.
Right. It's like that's to me that is that level of stupidity is kind of the same as that's an analogous level of stupidity to me to suddenly like come 2000 whatever for every manufacturer just to say, you know, that thing that everybody knows how it works and we've all been fucking using for several generations, and not generations of cars, I'm talking about fucking human generations. So like this shit is like it's now part of our DNA, you know, that this is how humans just intuitively understand how a car works because you've been fucking watching it from the time you were an infant. And suddenly, you know, you get into a fucking you know, a Prius or a Maserati, and it's like, what the fuck is this? How does this work? And you have to sit there looking like a dipshit for 5 minutes trying to figure out how to make the car go, because it's, you know, and the thing is, and it's not just the stakes are not as small as just your own sense of dignity or vanity or whatever. People fucking get killed because of this shit. I mean, there was that actor who, I mean, I don't remember what kind of car, but it wasn't. It was some.
It was a Jeep.
Anton Yelchin.
It was the Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that transmission actuator is the same one in the fucking Maserati Quattroporte that I drove in Sicily, and it's like, that thing, I could not figure it out. I still, at the end of that trip, I still didn't understand how exactly does this thing work. Am I in park? Am I,
Yeah.
It's just like, why? It's so maddening to me. It's so stupid.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Go ahead. No. It is one of those things, again, that starts off with the question, okay, but what if it did this? And it's like, there has to be someone in that room who's like, it doesn't fucking need to do that. Like, it doesn't. And it is like, there's so much of this thinking now. I think a lot of it like comes from Silicon Valley too, where it's like,
they're disrupting the Prindle.
And it's like,
fucking Prindle disruptors, man.
Yeah, but it is like changing things for the sake of changing them, inventing things for the sake of invention versus like actually solving a problem. But I think like we did talk about this on a previous episode, but I think like
this is, I mean, it was the Honda thing.
This was all of episode 8.
Yeah, it was when you're talking about the Honda Zero.
Like I said, the big problems, even with EVs, like the big problems are solved. Like EVs are waiting on some things. Like EVs are waiting on new battery technology, but in the meantime, there's a lot of fiddling going on.
Yeah, the biggest thing is infrastructure, right? But yeah, and the batteries will get smaller and lighter and better or whatever. But I mean, I honestly think it's a safety issue. I think
totally.
So too.
NHTS,
what is it? NHTSA?
NHTSA?
B?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
NHTSA, yeah.
Good old NHTSA.
Like, I feel like that's something that should just be regulated, you know? I mean, it's like these, I mean, you had your huge, in the 80s without, Audi almost got killed in this country because of the fucking unintended acceleration shit, which was just, I think, basically, I mean, didn't it turn out to be basically groundless? I don't even remember.
It was.
And then Toyota kind of had the same thing for a while in the aughts or whatever. But it's like, we get up in arms about that shit, and it's like, that creates these huge scandals. But it's like, well, what about the fact that like nobody knows what gear their car is in anymore? Nobody knows if they're in park anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's that, but it's also like, it's also doing away with buttons, like putting every fucking thing on a screen, and it's like,
bad.
It's illegal to use your phone, right, in most states while you're driving, or at least in the state that I live in. I think a lot of other ones, but it's totally it's bad to be pressing a button on your phone, but it's okay to be pressing a button to change, on this screen that's like over here. I'm pointing like to, and
they're mapping more essential functions and like mechanical functions onto the screens that I can see nowadays.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
more and more
no, exactly. No, they're getting. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like they're trying. I mean, multiple manufacturers are just getting rid of any physical buttons completely, where everything is through tapping on a screen. There's no tactile response. There's no, or else it's like the haptic shit, which I haven't experienced, but everybody, that drove a new GTI just came back just grousing about it.
There's a couple things. I mean, I think like in a lot of cases, a manufacturer would say like it's up to the dealer to educate the user on how this car works, which is stupid for a number of reasons. A, because dealers are the most mendacious, incompetent business people on the face of the earth. Right. They're total shitbirds. But it's also like, like the dealer should teach someone how to do this, but also they probably do not know how to do it. Most of the people at the dealership
Right.
don't know how to do it. Like, B, okay, if it's a rental car, okay, you're
Yeah.
The only way that would work would be if you did a thing where it's like, where they prosecute the bartender for
Yeah.
when the person like
Yeah.
drunk drives and kills somebody.
And yeah, the guy at Enterprise is also not going to know how to operate every possible car that could come through that lot. They wrote those fleets go
Yeah.
through nationwide. It's
Right.
not reasonable.
Yeah. No, there's a bunch. I mean, there's a bunch of
Yeah,
reasons why obviously that doesn't
totally.
work. That is what they would say. But the other thing is that NHTSA doesn't do shit anymore,
Right.
and I think like they don't. I mean, we could go down the list of things that like NHTSA should be regulating. That you're like, oh my god, you can just build any type of car now. Like you can do whatever you want, and like they don't have a thing to say about it. But the it is it's like another issue too is like this whole, a lot of this comes from Tesla, and like a lot of the moving controls off of the dash and onto
Right.
the screen is a Tesla thing.
Well, isn't Tesla's like to put it in drive? It's like a thing on the screen, right?
There is a reverse thing. There is also like an Intuit thing that I don't know if they ever put into production or not, where it like would intuit whether you're supposed to be going in forward or reverse, based like where you're parked.
Nice.
I don't like that. Like, we're really not far from them being like, don't worry, your cloud assistant will hear you say, put it in drive, and put the car in drive
Yeah.
for you. Like, that's like 5 years
Yeah.
from now, right?
But I think like most manufacturers have like had a bad enough experience with this that the
Good.
pendulum is kind of swinging back the other way away from the screen stuff,
Yeah.
because like that's one of the things that hurts them, and like the JD Power initial quality is like owners complaining about I don't know how to use the infotainment, or I don't know how to turn the lights on, or
It
whatever.
broke. It's
Like,
too bright.
that is bad, and it also like, from a consumer feedback standpoint, like people hate that shit, and it's so funny because like so much of this stuff, this is like, well, kind of segue into another part of this, but like so much of that stuff is like needlessly creating things for your user to be mad about.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
No, I mean that's
Like-
that's what's so maddening about it is it's not, it's just, it's novelty for the sake of novelty, and it's not anything in any way better.
benefit anybody.
It's
Yeah.
like it has no advantage.
Like, are these things that this was my kind of central question about these kinds of features is like, are they ultimately getting put in the car? Like, they don't seem like they would be like, they're like customer oriented. They almost seem like something you like show the board or something to be like, here's how we're innovating or whatever, you know?
It's cheaper. I mean, that's one factor. I mean, in terms of just manufacturing, it's like having everything routed through a screen rather than individual buttons. It's just it's fewer, the fewer physical switches that you have.
Fewer wiring
I mean, you're-
harnesses. Yeah.
Right, you're saving
And-
a few pennies here and there. But
And there's also like more universality between markets that way. Like you're not rearranging your whole dash to switch
Right.
driving positions and all that stuff. But it is, it's funny because it's like, do you know who scores really high on initial quality every year? And do you know what consumers fucking love is a Toyota. And the Toyota's like infotainment, UX, everything on every Toyota product always feels like it's 20 years behind every other car. Like you go drive a 2025 4Runner or 2024 4Runner or whatever, and you get in it and you're like, oh my god, like this looks like ancient.
Yeah.
And it is. And it's like, but you know what? It works really well. And when the consumer gets in it, they're like, everything did exactly what I expected it to do. And that's it. Like, didn't do anything flashy, didn't order my groceries for me. I couldn't but like no one wants that from their car. And like that has been like the Rivian experience so far is like the Rivian is like, it is like a product designed for like the elder millennial Patagonia shopper, and it is marked like on the car. It
Elder
says,
millennial.
That's the it's like a guy. It's like literally me, except like not aware. Like
You, if you had a
it
head
doesn't
injury. Yeah.
No, but it's like it doesn't matter that I'm aware of it. Like I'm aware of it, but I still bought the fucking
Yeah.
thing. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like I know what they're doing, and I still like went along with it or whatever. There's a little tag on it that says "adventurous every day" or something like that. And it's like, I'm not. This is not. You're dropping your fucking kids off at the car line here. Like this is not. Like where are you going in your EV? But there are a million, like today. So we got this email actually to Jalopnik, and we published a story on it, and it was like, hey, for Halloween, the car is going to be capable of getting these Halloween costumes. So you can upload. There's a button on your app, which is on the hated object to your cell phone. But there's a button on the app that you can select either the car from Back to the Future, Kit from Knight Rider, or like a regular spooky Halloween theme. And then when the car's parked, like if it's in Kit mode, it'll do the little LED red light beaming back and forth across the front, and it will turn all the gauges into the Knight Rider gauges. And it'll turn, like in Back to the Future mode, it'll be whatever, there's the flux capacitor or whatever.
This Ready Player One ass car.
Exactly. But I was like, you know what? Like the kids will flip for this.
I'm sorry, man. I think that's sick. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I could make my car do a Knight Rider light on the front, I would be pretty stoked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Betrayal.
It's stupid,
yeah.
but it's. I mean, that's fun. It's at least it's fun. You know. I mean,
Yeah.
there is. I mean,
Well-
obviously, it's like it's silly, but like, I mean, my car has a ton of silly shit on it too. You know, and it's like. It's goofy, but it's fun. It's like the spirit of it, I feel like, is in the right place.
And it's Halloween, and it's like,
Right.
I would never in a million years ask for such a thing.
Right.
But it's like, if it has it, it will make my kids really happy. Like, yeah, shit, I'm going to go do it. Except my car.
Oh, no.
Which,
It takes an hour and a half to download your Knight Rider.
No. You can't download it. And that's the thing, is like everything else, it is 100% pushed through the car. So like,
Yeah.
you don't have, like, I can't go update it or whatever. Like, it's like, it just comes. And if it doesn't come, that's it. Like, it never can. There's no way to actuate it. There's no way to make it happen. But so it hasn't come. And so I've traced the issue to the fact that my car is offline and not connected to the cloud.
Oh,
Which,
well, dude,
is not true.
Yeah, that's.
But it's not true. So my car, I've reset it twice today. I did a hard reset, soft reset twice. I disconnected, removed all of my personal information from the car, taken it off my cell phone, taken it off my Wi-Fi network, put it back on my cell phone, put it back on my Wi-Fi network. I sent an email to Rivian today, which is like, to me, worst case scenario for a product that I'm paying for is that I have to contact them for something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is like I may as well be walking in there with a fucking suicide vest on my chest if I'm contacting them. I was like out of my mind to email these people, and it was like, and it's like, I don't even know why I care, because like the kids probably have already forgotten about it. They don't care, but it's like, there's something wrong with my car, and there's no way for me to fix it. And the thing that it's saying,
The thing that's wrong with it is that it doesn't do Knight Rider.
But that's the thing, is like, the thing that's wrong with it now is that there's this little thing that's like, oh, your car's not connected to the cloud.
Sure.
And then it's like, oh, I can't change a bunch of settings, and I can't change how much it'll charge. I can't change like all these little things. And it's like, oh, you have limited connectivity. It's like, motherfucker, I am sitting here looking at this, like, I'm using my home Wi-Fi. I can see the car using it. Like, to get this message from you. Like I know that it is connected to the internet from my home, and it's like, yeah, it's not. So, but it's like, again, like I don't want any of this stuff.
No,
I was thinking,
I want the person at Rivian to just be like, first world problems, man, huh?
and that's true. It is. It is, but it's also like, I was thinking today. I was like driving around the Rivian, and I was like thinking about my 17-year-old Lexus GX that I just sold, and I was like, the Lexus has a radio.
Yeah.
And that's it. Has a 6-disc CD player. And that's it. And every fucking thing on that car, after 18 years or 17 years or however old it is, worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And occasionally I would have to crawl underneath it and take something apart and put it back together to fix it, whatever. I had to keep it rust-proofed. I had to do a bunch of... it was not an effortless situation. It's an older car or whatever, and I was maintaining it myself. But it worked. All the shit, every promise that car made to me was fulfilled every time. Like every single thing that I expected of that car, I got
Right.
every time. And like, that is all, but like the addition of all the fun shit, you're like, okay, yeah, that is a fun idea, whatever. Oh yeah, it is. It would be fun if my car can like I don't know, recognize I'm in a bad mood and pour me a drink. That's a bad idea, but it's something like that kind of stuff.
When you
where it's
get
like,
home.
Yes, right, yeah. But you know what I mean.
When it knows you're in your driveway.
You froze doing like a perfect like this to the screen like it was chips. It was great. No, okay. We as a society have to reject products that need to be connected to the internet for basic functionality.
I agree.
You do not own your music library. You don't own what's on your streaming. You don't own the video game. If you don't own it, you don't have it. It's theirs still. I think like if my car told me I had to connect to the cloud, I would shoot it with a gun.
Well, and that's the reason for it. I mean, it's moving towards that kind of rentier model of
yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's part of the process of just kind of the abstraction and financialization of everything, right?
Life and living and joy.
Right.
God, there was some adage that I had years ago about things that connect to the internet, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something like everything you own that connects to the internet makes your life worse or something. But it was like there was some, and it was like it worked for everything. I have to think about this because I'll come back to it. But yeah, it's the internet thing. Yeah, I think that's obvious to me. But the thing with this end of form innovation thing is whether it's the car pretending or thinking it can't connect to the cloud, or the weird shifter mechanisms, or whatever whatever form it takes. It is, and this is like what Toyota does not do. It is creating opportunities for the consumer to be frustrated with the product.
Yeah.
Which is like, and I think that is also like there's a degree to which like old school automaker thinking, like what Toyota still does, is like, we will bring new features onto your car when they are ready, when they can be operated with 100% reliability for the most part. When we are certain that you are not going to have a problem with this stuff, it will go on the car. And today, because of our kind of tech culture, it's like, I have to imagine that this stuff is not getting that kind of scrutiny, and it's just getting rolled out. And it's like, well, fuck, if your car doesn't work, big deal. Sometimes your phone doesn't work either. And it's like, no, if my car doesn't work, that is a big deal. Like, I thought about throwing a brick through the window of my car today. And it's like,
well, no, I mean, it's not just an inconvenience. Like it's, I mean, because we live in this world that has been built around the need for the automobile, then it's like, well, when you can't use it, when you can't use the expensive thing that you've acquired to to live in the world,
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, you're shit out of luck.
And it's a level too of like, there is an expectation to me of like the amount of money that something costs and how I expect it to function.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if I buy a shitty tool from Harbor Freight
Right.
and it breaks, I'm like, well,
Whatever.
you paid $4 for it. What
Exactly.
the fuck did you expect? And if I buy a Snap-on tool, the equivalent Snap-on tool, I expect to have it for the rest of my life.
Right.
And it's like, if I have a 1995 Ford pickup that won't start sometimes, I give it a break because it's old as shit and I paid $4,000 for it or whatever. If I have a Rivian R1S that's costing me like $700 and something a month to run, it better fucking work every time.
Yeah.
And the fact that like that I even have to think about it is like, again, this is a first world problem or whatever, but it's like, it is infuriating.
It sucks.
And it is
It
like,
sucks.
It's like, I don't like paying money for a car. I like driving old shitty cars. I bought this very expensive car as a backstop to my old shitty cars. Like, I was hoping.
No, that was the whole thing with my fucking Hyundai.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was the thing that I was screaming to Patricia on the phone. It's like, I have fucking $2,000 cars that will fucking make this trip, and this car cost me $40,000. This thing that I fucking paid out the ass for, to be telling myself, rationalizing, well, you got to be a grown up, man. You got to fucking accept it. You know, fucking be responsible. Have a new car.
Yeah.
You know, and the
That's what
fucking
I
thing
did.
doesn't get me
Yeah.
home any better than the fucking $2,500 shitty ass Saab that's been rusting away in my fucking driveway for 10 years, you know? It's like, oh.
What happened to the conventional wisdom of like the smart thing to do is buy a new car, the worst thing you can do for a car's value is drive it off the lot, blah, 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 where it used to be like the safe thing is to buy a new car so you know it's never had any other person dealing with it, it's totally
Right.
safe from the
No,
dealer.
exactly.
It's upside down world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want my Lexus back so much. Today I was like, I'm going to be in Seattle. I know where the car is. I'm going to be there in a week. And it's like, dude, Zach, you got to help me, man. Like, I need this fucking car back. Like, I can't do this anymore.
I will pay you to take over the lease on this Rivian.
I will be so
Just
thrilled
give me the Lexus
to be driving
back.
my Lexus back across country. Like, I'm so sorry. I fucked up.
Should we look up the lot my Corolla came from and just start tracking some VINs? Like, I don't know. They seemed they were having a good day in the factory that week.
Maddie in the research department just sent me
There you go.
the tweet, which was, a good rule of thumb is that if a product connects to the internet, it's disposable junk and you should not buy it if possible. Which is...
Stand by that.
That is absolutely true. I've absolutely never found a single example of that not being true.
Yeah.
It's every single thing that you buy that connects to the internet will end up in a landfill before too long.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you're pining for the Lexus and what you talk about, the fact that you would occasionally have to get underneath the car and fix some purely mechanical issue that could easily be addressed mechanically, and just put it back together and be back in business. I feel like that's a good place to segue this conversation from the related concepts of your idea of the end of form innovation and something that I've been thinking about for a long time, which is what I think of as the idea of the car in the age of the post-mechanical. And this is something that I mean, it's an idea that I first started thinking about when I remember reading, when did they declassify the stealth fighter, the F-117? I mean, it was probably like
92, 93.
Okay, so late 80s, early 90s.
It was
Might have been.
It was Desert Storm. It was because one got shot down, and but they were showing video of it on TV in 91, I think. Is that right?
Probably. Yeah, I think we knew about it. I mean, I feel like I was probably I was either still living at home or at least going home often enough that I was reading my dad's Aviation Week and Space Technology magazines, because he probably still has a subscription, if they even are still if they're still I know they're still around. I don't know if there's still a print edition of Aviation Week.
It's probably like a hyper successful small like the guy who owns it has 4 boats, and he's like
probably
really,
I mean,
really successful.
it's kind of the Bible.
Like,
I mean, it is the industry Bible of planes. But yeah, my dad had a subscription, and I would go home and just sit in his chair and catch up on what's going on in the Aviation Week world. But I remember reading about when they declassified the F-117, and you get to see, like, and I feel like it had been kind of rumored for a long time, this idea of like a stealth fighter or whatever. But when you actually saw the actual plane, it was very startling, because it looked so strange and so kind of counter to everything. I mean, like the SR-71, the kind of the famous spy plane, successor to the U-2, which, held all the records for altitude and fastest plane in the world, and et cetera, et cetera. And that plane supposedly had some stealthy properties, and you look at it and it looks like it would, right? It's very like smoothly contoured. It's there's no hard angles. It's very just kind of, looks spacey and exotic and otherworldly. And the F-117, complete contrast to that, it was all angles. It was all sharp edges, and it was like faceted, and it's like, how the fuck could that even fly? And I remember reading, and they talked about it. It's like the way that they were, like, the reason that it's faceted is because it bounces the radar signal. It scatters the radar signal, basically. So it makes it impossible to show, or at least, cuts down its radar cross section to negligibility. And but the reason that they were able to do this at this point was because computer processing speed had gotten to a point where the plane was inherently unstable in the air. I mean, it could fly, but it could not. If a human was just flying it by themselves, they would not be able to keep it in the air. It would basically just fly out of control. But because you had these computer aids, and you had fly-by-wire systems and these computers kind of intervening, that's what made it possible for this inherently unstable, unaerodynamic shape to be airworthy, right? And I just remember in my mind just kind of playing out the implications of that, right? I mean, it's like, okay, so if we have computers that are this fast now, that they're able to force this freaky ass looking thing through the air somehow and keep it aloft, and we all know is it the Bernoulli principle or whatever, the thing about just ever exponentially growing computer processing power. At some point, who's to say that, like, a plane even has to look like a plane at all, right? I mean, it could look like fucking anything. Yeah. It could look like a cloud. Yeah. It could look like a hot dog. It's like you could just have a plane just be a bird, and you could disguise it. I mean, that's the ultimate stealth, right? Would be a plane that looks like a bird.
A giant bird. You're like, no. I know what you're thinking. That's just a bird. It's like, well, it's like 30 feet long. It's like, no, I know, but...
Well, if it's really high up, it just looks like a normal-sized bird.
Yeah, you can't tell. You don't know how far away it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Fools everybody.
I'm still having like a flight of fancy about the hot dog.
I don't know why I always just
Yeah.
think of a hot dog. It's just the first thing that comes to my mind. I just got hot dogs on the brain.
Tactical Wienermobile. Hey, tired listeners, it's your producer pal, Maddie. This conversation will continue in episode 12, which will be a Patreon exclusive episode. Sorry to cut us off here with the delightful introduction of the hot dog plane. But if you would like to hear Peter and Rory continue their discussion of the end of form innovation and the car in the age of the post-mechanical, I love when they get all smart like this. Come on over to patreon.com/tiredpod and subscribe. It is $5 a month for all of our Patreon exclusive episodes, plus extra fun little posts, and you will have our undying gratitude. Every subscription means so much, and we really appreciate it. Please come over and subscribe. Look forward to episode 12. And if you are hearing this in your Patreon feed because you're already subscribed, thank you. I wish I had a cool, sneaky way to remove these from those episodes because I'm telling you something you already know. Thank you.